Okay, welcome back to Marketing 3. And this session is going to focus on reference group. So we are now going through lesson 12 and have a look at reference groups and their impact on consumer behavior, which ultimately has a role in marketing planning and marketing strategy. But before we look at reference groups, we have to do some recap on what we're doing in lesson 11. We spoke about the dynamic nature of culture, how culture can be relearned, which is called enculturation, and how new cultures from other cultures can be learned, which is acculturation. We also learned about the merging of other cultures to form what we call a subculture. We spoke about cultural values and society. We spoke about the concept of value in marketing and South African core values, as well as the measurement of culture. So within that culture, we have got what is called reference groups. These have got an implication in marketing activities. And at the end of this lesson, you need to be able to know what reference groups are. You need to know the types of reference groups. You need to be able to know and explain the use of reference groups in marketing. You also need to know the determinants of reference groups' influence, as well as the link between reference groups and advertising. So this is crucial because it also forms part of your F1. By the way, how far are you with F1 preparations, Amanda?
Yes, there's a lot, hey. Kuni. Can you hear me, sir?
Yes, I can hear you say there's a lot.
No, I don't mean, I have a lot on the table yet. I haven't started studying for marketing.
Yeah, you need to, because marketing is tricky. It's not an assignment, you know that it's a test.
Yes, sir.
So at least with other assignments, you know what you need to do. But with marketing, you don't know what to do. So you just need to familiarize yourself with everything that you are learning. The good part is that video links are there on Core Campus. And it's a good thing that you also attend classes. Because as much as we can upload the links for online session, it becomes tricky if you don't attend classes because you do not record physical classes. Good luck with that. And I hope you find time because it's almost 7 April now.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so these are the concepts that you are going to come across. You are going to come across the concept of a reference group, buying behavior, social class, behavior patterns, collectivism, individualism, beliefs. Are there concepts there that you feel like they are very new to you?
I think reference group. I think I'm familiar with the rest.
Okay. All right. So what do you think are reference groups and why are they often referred to in marketing?
I'm not sure, sir. I tried reading the definition, but it's still not making sense to me.
Okay, it seems to be in black and white. Is that what you mean?
Yes, sir.
It seems to be in gray zone. It's not yet in black and white. Okay, I'm going to unpack it for you. I know the word reference group sometimes can be tricky, but remember, in marketing, even in academics, we do use referencing, right? And we always say that you guys must cite your source, where you got it from. You need to put where you got it from.
Mm.
So if you are coming up with a definition, it says, according to Banda 2024, digital marketing is XYZ. So you are referencing the source that you are using, right? So it's pretty almost the same when it comes to reference groups. It means that you are sort of copying from a group of people who are doing the same thing.
Mm.
So Amapiano can be a reference group because they influence the things that you use.
Mm.
Grupa, it's a form of a reference group because it's a group of a men who influence what other means, what other means need to do. So they become a sort of an inspiration to you.
Mm.
And there was that time where when there was a trend for swag, being a nigger. I'm a nigger, wearing flat pants and stuff like that.
Mm.
It was a sort of a reference group whereby people be even dangling their pants, like you don't wear your pants at the waistline, you need to dangle it like below your buttocks and stuff like that. So it becomes a reference group. Sometimes marketers would intentionally target reference group to inspire consumers to be more like that reference group.
Mm.
Do you get it?
Yes, sir.
So be it people with a expensive taste, then you want to be more like them, especially celebrities. If already being a member of a specific reference group means you need to wear all-star, you need to have this type of clothing, you need to hang out at specific places and stuff like that, then you become part of that reference group. So it is important to understand reference groups when formulating market strategy and activities, because consumers have got their own aspirations when it comes to people that they idolized or the people that they see as role models. So a reference group is a group of people that have persuasive impact on buying decisions that emanates from perceived proficiency, credibility, and believability. Therefore, reference groups are grouped together based on their member social affiliation or regional proximity. So for example, if you want a specific product, let's say it's an all-star, and you see Casper Nyovest wearing it, it gives all-star credibility that, oh, this one I saw this celebrity wearing, it means that I can also use it. It's credible. It's authentic. It's not fake. Okay? So the influence of the reference group is much higher when a consumer purchases specialty or luxury products, while there's a weaker relationship in case of necessity such as milk and bread. However, reference groups have a strong influence on consumer choices of brands, of branded products such as clothing, fragrances, and wine. So normally, we always get influenced by a specialty, like specific products or luxury products that a reference group is using. Think about Rolex watches, iPhone phones, and so on. But we wouldn't have much influence on what kind of milk or bread that reference groups or celebrities or influential people are drinking. So it's always specific things that are having, such as branded products, clothing, perfumes, and even wine. Okay. So there are types of reference groups, and they can be described using the following descriptors. So a reference group is determined by the formality of the reference group, the importance of the reference group, the aspiration of the reference group, and the affiliation to the reference group. So a reference group is not actually a known group whereby people come together and it becomes an organization. No. It's something that becomes visible in society. It becomes a trend. It becomes a meme. For example, there's no way we can have membership to Amapiano, can we?
No, sir.
But we can always ascribe ourselves to the characteristics of Amapiano. So we would do things that Amapiano people are doing. So Amapiano is a reference group, but it's not a group of people with a leader and with a with a treasurer or a spokesperson. No, it's people who share common characteristics to influence other people. So these are the types of the reference groups. We've got the formality of the reference group. So this one focuses on the formal reference group and the informal reference group. So it can be formal and informal, such as Amavrupa, guys. And someone last year said that there's now a new trend of men who call themselves Vito guys. You know that Mercedes Vito?
Oh, yes, sir.
Which is like a bus. There's a culture that is now trending.
And
like
also
girls would say we date those kind of guys. I don't know. How far true is that?
I don't know. I know Stan's cars. You see the ones that drop their cars.
The ones that do what?
Drop their cars.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
And they normally do events nowadays.
Okay, that's interesting.
Okay,
then I've got the importance of the reference group. And this one can be a primary reference group or a secondary reference group. Then we've got aspiration to the reference group. I think this one is the one that trends the most. So it's aspirational, like it aspires you to be someone in society. So if you are a man and it's a Vrupa group, it will aspire you to own a VW Polo. It will aspire you to wear some specific branded clothes. It will aspire you to hang out to some specific places. So everything that defines a Vrupa man, it will be an inspiration to. Then we've got a dissociative reference group. So this one would be the opposite, it would be something that you do not want to be. So whatever that you do, you actually be in total opposite of what the group aspires. Then we've got the affiliation to the reference group. So this one, it will be a sort of a nature that you want to have a sort of a sense of belonging to the group. So I'll put Amapiano as affiliation to the reference group because everyone wants to fit in that category of being known as someone who aspired to Amapiano. The way they were, and to some extent, you must also be able to move your body, like to dance those dancing style that Amapiano does, you know? I think to some extent, based on my own observations, so most of people want to affiliate to Amapiano would have some skin tights, you know? So you'd wear some sort of tight clothes, but to the extent we can also have those baggy jeans. So, pardon?
I'm saying yes, sir. Anything Kamumpela wears or these Amapiano artists.
What you're saying actually makes sense. People like Kamumpela, yes. And you know, you end up following something because if Kamumpela does something or changes his wardrobe, I can assure you that his followers are also going to do that. Changes hair wardrobe. So yeah, it's something like that you want to have some sense of belonging, so that when people come across you in society, you are not seen as someone who is bored, because Amapiano never get bored. They can entertain, they are full of fun and happiness and independence, So, but also to some extent, you can also have non-member to the reference group. There are some people within your age who wouldn't want to associate with Amapiano. They would feel as if they've got their own destiny to choose.
That's me, sir.
So yeah, you always find people like that, even if it's within the same generation, but they just choose to have their own destiny, to be themselves. They also try by all means to differentiate themselves from the actual group.
Yes, sir.
All right. So all these, they do matter to marketing, because our products can always be positioned to what these groups associate with. Think of the Nivea's use of Shoma Josie. Have you ever seen an advert when there's Shoma Josie using Nivea?
Yes, sir.
That's part of the reference group, because Shoma Josie have got her own fans with a specific taste, So I wouldn't be sure that there's an advert or there are brands that are doing their best trying to associate with Hamompela. So let's look at the use of reference groups in marketing. Marketing practitioners try to determine the shared values and beliefs of various reference groups in order to align their marketing activities with these values and beliefs. And I think Smirnoff, you know Smirnoff, right?
Yes, sir.
Is trying so hard to do this, and sometimes I think they get it right. Even Savannah Dry. I don't drink myself, but I see their marketing activities, how they suit the reference group of Amapiano. So it is important to note that customers associate with certain reference groups for the following reasons. So these are some of the reasons why customers want to affiliate with the reference groups. There are so many reasons, but these are just chose to put these. Some can always think outside the box and consider them. So the first one is that to obtain information. So it's called informational influence. Sometimes you cannot know about a specific product until you interact or associate with a specific reference group. The same with Amapiano, not Amapiano, the same with Vrupas. If you want to know more about cars, I'm sure they are the first people that you can approach, especially when it comes to polo. Then it's the other reason why customers would associate with certain reference groups is for reward and punishment. And this is called normative or utilitarian influence. What does that mean? It means that the moment you associate yourself with Amapiano, you are getting Amapiano products, the way they do things. You feel rewarded. You feel like you're a member of the community. You feel the benefits. But if you don't do that, you can even get punishment in terms of social isolation. All of a sudden, people say that you are boring, Yes. You are a youth, but you're not grooving, if you get what I mean. I'm sure you've come across that. It can also be part of peer pressure.
That's true.
So that's not only clothing, it can also be in form of food. Think about when you're not having rice at home and all of your friends, they are saying that they are having rice at home. It can either be rewarding or punishing. You feel isolated that, oh, we don't have rice, and I'm a bad person, I'm poor, and things like that. But if everyone is talking about rice and you are also on page, you can feel rewarded that you belong to your friends. So these have got dire consequences and can also lead to depression. I've seen most teenagers thriving to fit in a specific group, especially in high school. You thrive to have that sense of belonging to join a specific group. And for you to look like that group, you need some specific resources items. For example, if they were all stars, you also need to have one. You know, you need to have some sort of reward and have one so that you can look like them. But if you cannot afford at home, then
left out.
You are left out, and that's a punishment. You can no longer hang out with them. So it can also be a form of a disadvantage. Then the other reason why customers associate with certain reference groups is because of aspiration. So this is identification influence. So you want to look like them, you want to aspire. And rather than just looking like them, you also want to aspire others. You also want others to join through you. So these are some of the reasons why customers associate with certain groups. And if you are a brand, you can always try to determine the shared values and beliefs of those reference groups. Anything that a brand does, be it school, for example, Boston Media House, it can look for the shared values that it has with specific groups of people in society. You see, even water, because some group might see itself that like a reference group that only takes bottled water, while another one can say it believes in natural water, tap water. So if a water brand, you know, you can always think about that. So there's no limitation to a product. That's what I'm trying to say. Be it education, be it services, be it Wi-Fi, be it network, you know, we have got specific people who use Vodacom, for example. We know the reference groups that they belong to. We have got specific people who use iPhones. So you can always think about any product, it will still fit as a shared value and beliefs. Remember, with culture, we spoke about beliefs.
Yes, sir.
All right. So what then determines the existence of a reference group and its influence? Because if a reference group does not have an influence, it is not a reference group. A reference group must somehow have an influence in people's lives, just like the influence that you are getting from Amapiano. So some of the determinants of reference groups are: group influence is strong when a brand or product is visible to the group. As he used the example of Kamompela, it's visible. We know what Kamo wears, right? And we aspire to wear the same thing. Or we know her dance moves and stuff like that. So it's visible. So the influence becomes strong when that thing is visible, not it's hidden in the closet. Then reference groups influence is higher, the less of necessity an item is. So the influence becomes higher if the product is scarce. It's not just for everyone. Polo is not for everyone. That car is expensive.
Yes, sir.
So the influence will be higher. Think about people who would use an iPhone. It's not cheap, right? So the influence will be higher. The Rolex watches or the smart watches that people are wearing nowadays. So the group's influence is higher, the less of the necessity an item is. Then the other determinant of a reference group influence are the more committed a person feels to a group, the more she or he will conform to its norms and requirements. So the more you feel like Amapiano is centered on your life, the more you do anything or everything based on Amapiano. So it's no longer about what you need to do when you go out. It is something that you still do when you are on your own at home. It makes sense, right?
Yes, sir.
Because some other things you do because you want to go out there. People would put on makeup, for example, because it's a special occasion. They want to be seen out there. But those who actually feel that makeup is part of them, trust me, even when they're at home, they still put makeup. Because makeup is not about the people who need to see them. It's about them who are putting on it. So whether they are seen or not, it doesn't matter to them. They still use it. They still apply it. So that's the same with commitment to a reference group. The other determinant for a reference group's influence is that the more relevant a particular activity is to the group's functioning, the stronger the pressure to conform to the group's norms concerning that activity. So think about the Amapiano activities that are happening out there and their relevance. You would realize that with time, times keep changing. With time, if Amapiano will have less activities, they won't have any relevance in society. Do you know that? Anyway, these things are always phases. They do fade away in time. There are some trends that used to happen, as I told you that there was a trend for jazz music and stuff like that. Those things, they faded. They did not die away. They're still there in society, but they are no longer vibrant the same way they were before. So marketing practitioners often position products in a way that plays on people's desires to join a certain reference group. Therefore, products are promoted by subtly inducing the prospective consumer to identify with the person in the advertisement who is using the product. You would see that's why all these adverts, they use specific people to incite people's emotions so that they associate themselves with those products. It's not necessarily celebrities or influential people. Even someone who would appear on an advert and you feel like this person is my role model. So it doesn't necessarily have to be a celebrity or an influencer, even though in most cases you would see celebrities being used. As I gave you an example of Nivea, which uses Shoma Josie. And in most cases, if Shoma Josie is your age, you can easily relate that if someone on my age, even if you don't like Shoma Josie's music, or even if you don't like her, but the fact that she is in your age or in your generation, you would feel compelled to get the same product. If it's used by someone who's in your age, why can't you use it? So that's the question that you would ask yourself. So that's what, as marketers, we need to aspire to. So there's an activity on page 107. You need to do that on your own, but you need to provide examples of both positive and negative reference group. So let's quickly have a look at Bonang and Revlon. You know Revlon,
please repeat,
right?
the page of the activity.
107.
Okay, thank you, sir.
107. Okay, the video for Bonang is no longer there. I think it's been a while it was posted. But with Bonang and Revlon, it can be the same example that I've used for Shoma Josie and Nivea.
Yes.
Because all these are skin products, right? Revlon, I think it also touches on skin. Let's look at this one for Kevin Hart. I don't know who Kevin Hart is. Do you know Kevin Hart?
Yes, sir.
Okay, my apologies. I can look boring because some of these things.
You probably do know him.
Yeah, that's maybe, probably. I think his video is no longer. Oh, the video is no longer there as well. Okay, what I like about these is that you know them. Let's look at someone else if it will play. This one. You know Drake, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so those are some of the examples that you can always familiarize with when looking at the influences that some reference groups can have. And most reference groups are driven by celebrities and influential people. So, in conclusion, this lesson should have taught you to differentiate between different types of reference groups in South Africa. And by now, you should be able to assess the use of reference groups as a way to segment the market and to describe possible consumer behavior patterns. The lesson was an opportunity to grow as a marketer as you add an understanding of reference groups and their uses to your marketing knowledge. So by now you should be able to describe what a reference group is. Are there any questions or comments about reference groups and everything that we've covered today from lesson 11, which is values and culture, to lesson 12, which was all about reference groups?
No, sir.
Okay, so next week, actually, you are not submitting your F1. Next week, oh yes, you are submitting because it's Friday.
Hectic.
Okay, all right.
So can I
All
just
right,
ask?
so we are going to have a short break, but I think there's a class next week.
Yes, sir.
Even though students normally play hide and seek with me, they don't attend the classes because they feel as if they were given an assignment yesterday.
Hey, it's hectic. Got too many assignments. Yeah. It's hell week. That's what we call it.
Okay, but you survive the hell. I'm sure that after 15 April, you guys will be back in pieces.
Yes, sir.
So let's look at the exciting topic of social class next week, Tuesday. And I'm sure we're meeting in class next week.
Yes, sir.
Okay, see you then.
So I wanted to ask if the test will have a what did I wanna now the word is gone.
I'm listening, you can ask.
Multiple choice question.
The test will not be in form of multiple choice questions. There's no way we can give you answers, a choice of answers in marketing and just let you have some guesswork. So it's going to be short essay questions. So there can be a question saying that describe a reference group, 2 marks. So you need to fill in on core campus what a reference group is.
Okay, so it makes sense.
Yeah, so it's not a multiple choice question. There's no way you are going to choose A or B. You are actually going to, so there will be a case study that you have to read about. Then after reading, you then answer the questions to suit that case study, that brief.
Okay, sir.
Okay. Is there anything else?
No, sir.